What's up, core reporters, and welcome back to my channel. I watched all 3 episodes of After the Altar for season 4 of Netflix's Love is Blind. And let me just tell you, it really isn't all that great. It wasn't worth the watch, in my opinion. I am somebody who likes to see juicy drama and confrontations when I watch shows, especially when there's a lot of beef going on and like shows like Love is Blind and whatnot. So the complete and utter absence of that made it kind of like, damn, really? The only kind of hint of like, conflict that we had from the previews was from that girl confronting Jackie saying, oh, like, I don't know how you could be with this guy, that guy being Josh, obviously. And I thought that that was going to be this huge thing, but it really wasn't. It was all over in like 30 seconds, maybe 32 seconds. Okay. I believe her name was Monica, by the way. So let me tell you just a little bit about some of the highlights that went down on the After the Altar. Normally I would divide it by episode, but it really wasn't good enough for that. So I'm just going to do it all in one go. First of all, I will just say Brett and Tiffany are my ultimate Love is Blind couple. It used to be Lauren and Cameron, but right now I am obsessed with Brett and Tiffany. Like, their vibes are just immaculate to me. Tiffany's energy is so infectious and Brett's energy is so calming. So I really do love them together. They balance each other out so well. I feel like anytime I see Tiffany, I'm smiling from ear to ear just because she brings that out, like she just has such a happy, wonderful like aura and vibe. Zach and Bliss, they had me fooled. So like we see them going to the doctor and everything. And I'm like, oh, what is happening here? And then they talk about getting shots. I'm like, oh, not y'all doing IVF already. You know what I mean? And then come to find out they were allergy shots because he is allergic to her dogs and her cats, just animals in general. And so that's why he is getting them, so he can have them back in the house. And we find out that those two are really close to Chelsea and Kwame. And they said something kind of strange to me, which was that whenever they travel together, they will go for one room and share it. It'll have 2 queen beds next to each other. And that'll be how they travel, like, because they're so tight. And I'm like, that's a lot. Like, I don't think I could be into that, to be honest with you. It's way too many people in one hotel room, like one tiny, 10-meter square room, one bathroom between 4 people, 2 guys. It's just not for me. So I found that to be really interesting because, maybe you can go, oh, like they don't see each other as often, so they want to spend as much time. But no, they live like real close to each other. So they see each other multiple times a week, at least once a week. So I was like, that's a little bit interesting to me, but I digress. One of my other favorite things about this reunion or After the Altar special was seeing Micah and Paul's mom interact. Paul's mom is in love with Micah. Like, it feels like she might even want to be with her, like she thinks Micah is the most gorgeous, funny, smart, like angel on the planet. And it's really cute, to be honest with you. And so Micah's like, hey, like, do you think Paul's okay with our relationship? I don't want to step on any toes. And Paul's mom is basically like, F them kids. Like, I could give a damn what that child thinks about us, And I found that absolutely hilarious. She's like, boys are stupid. I'm like, girl, this is my type of mother-in-law. Like, she is iconic to me. I would love to see more of her. Like, if they ever do something else, like, what would you guys think about bringing her on to Perfect Match? Right? Like, I would love that. And speaking of, can you imagine someone from Love is Blind Brazil coming to Perfect Match? That would be juicy, right? Let's put a request in for that, okay? So Paul's mom does spill the tea that Paul has started seeing someone, and Micah's a little bit confused because like she and Paul are still flirting around this time. And Paul's mom's like, don't worry, girl, I'll break her kneecaps for you. Like, the way she rides for Micah, I need someone to ride for me the way that lady rides for her. And so, like, she's like, Micah, like, I wasn't ready to move on either when his dad found somebody else new. And so that was really interesting to like see that play out. Jackie and Josh, as much hate as they get, you guys, I think they work so well as a couple. They've got like similar vibes. Like, they go together way better than Jackie and Marshall ever did. And I could see them like, lasting quite a while together. So, congratulations to them on still like fighting for their love and whatnot and like continuing along with that. And now Paul does admit to his mom that he's still like attached to Micah as he's cooking gumbo and whatnot. And so that was quite nice to see, like, the mom son bonding. But it feels to me like it's kind of unfair to the new girlfriend to be like in this place where you're not over your ex and you're dating her and whatnot, like, I don't know. I personally prefer like emotionally available people, right? Like when I'm dating, but everybody's different. Maybe this is something that works for her. And one thing Paul said that really stuck out to me was that He says that he said no at the altar because his mom told him before he went down the aisle that anything other than a yes is a no. And so Micah was asked before him, like, do you take this man to be your husband? And instead of saying yes, Micah said, I will let him answer first. And so Paul, apparently taking the advice of his mother, took that as a no, and then ultimately decided to say no. It really felt like he regretted his choice. Like, I think that he wanted something with Micah, but if it was supposed to work, it would have worked at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I just do not see it. Now let's get to something a little bit more exciting. The married couples, they went to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. And it was a really beautiful dinner. Like, everybody got really dressed up. The ladies were in gowns, the men were in suits, and they all looked absolutely gorgeous. I will say, though, that I was a little bit disappointed that Jackie and Josh didn't get married, because I would have liked to see them at this dinner as well, just to have, like, a different vibe, a different dynamic at the table. And they're still going strong, and they met on the show, So, oh, by the way, when it comes to Paul's mom, she told Paul basically, well, if you still love Micah, you need to go get a box of chocolates, go to her house, beg and cry and plead for her back, and she'd probably take you back. Like, that's what she wants more than anything in the world, which I was like, oh, I just love her. Does she not have like daughters? Is Paul the only child or something like that? Is that why she's so hung up on Micah? Or is it just the vibe? I'm curious. Now, at the dinner, they start talking about like weird things they do for love or whatever. And so Brett asks Zach if he sings to Bliss and serenades her or whatever. And then Zach says that sometimes he will even sing to her for like an hour or two. And I was like, okay. And I thought 9/11 was terrorism. Oof. Lord have mercy. Now, Brett and Tiffany start talking about like how they've been traveling. They went to Brazil, no, not Brazil. I'm sorry, you guys. Cartagena. They went to Colombia. They went to Greece, I think it is. They went to all these countries. And you could see it in Kwame's face that he was jealous, because before getting married to Chelsea, Kwame is a digital nomad, was a digital nomad. He would travel everywhere and just work from different countries and whatnot. And yeah, like when he got with Chelsea, Chelsea's a speech pathologist for children. And so you got to be there in person to do that. So she cannot travel like that. And so she tearfully thanks him for the sacrifice of staying in town with her and not traveling as much as he used to. And he looked a little bit bitter about it in his face. Like, I was like, oh, hide the bitterness a little bit, or the resentment, I should say, a little bit better. Why don't you? So that was something that was quite interesting. But, I can't feel bad for people like that. It's like, you got to pick and choose. Like, you have to make decisions for your life, like in a really intelligent way. Like, I am someone like Kwame who can work from anywhere. That's why you see me all the time traveling. I do anywhere from like 6 to 8 countries a year. And so I could never be with somebody who has to be in a specific place, right? So I don't date, like, for example, a doctor. I wouldn't date a doctor. I wouldn't date, anybody who has to be in like a teacher. So this is a conscious decision that I made because travel is important to me, so that I wouldn't resent somebody that I'm with. You know what I mean? So like, to me, it's like, you know what? Too bad, so sad. You're a grown ass man. You know what you like. You know what your priorities are in life. And this is why you ask questions. You were dating to find out if this person's lifestyle is compatible with yours, and you chose someone who can't travel, even though travel is a huge priority for you. So, too bad, so sad. I do not understand, though, why he can't just take trips on his own. I feel like even in relationships, I like to take trips on my own. It's important to me. I love solo travel. I love traveling with friends. I love traveling, in a relationship. And I also love solo traveling as well. So I think that like maybe they should explore that within their relationship, that he takes some weekends away and whatnot. I know it's a little bit more difficult because he lives in the United States and it's further out for like traveling to like, other countries and whatnot, but still it could be something nice for him, even like a week or whatever, you know what I mean? 5 days, something like that could be like nice to get the itch out. And, it was especially kind of, bitter for him because Zach and Bliss were about to do a huge, like, travel adventure as well for their actual honeymoon. So that was kind of rough for him, but like I said, you make your bed, you make your decisions, and it is what it is. Then in episode 2 of After the Altar, the Browns meet up with Marshall and his girlfriend. She's a doctor now, but like not like a medical doctor. She's like, she got her PhD, let's say, okay? But she's like a nurse. I think she's like a doctorate of nursing. And her name is Shy, that they call her. And Marshall acts like, she's my soulmate. I love her so much. But I listened to Marshall on the Nick Vile podcast when it came out, and he sounded like he just wanted to break up with her. He basically said that actually on the podcast, that he wants to like live his fame and he doesn't want to put her in the limelight, and he wants to make his like lifestyle a little bit like, you know what I mean? Like he wanted to leave this girl. But then it came out that he was a colorist when his old tweets got exposed, and he decided to stay with her, I think, to like distract from that or whatever. And so that situation there, I don't believe him. I don't think he's a genuine person at all. Now, let's go back to Paul. He talks to Irina and Micah. She hangs out with Irina and her friend Shelby to talk about Paul's relationship with her overlapping with his new one with the current girlfriend, Geneva. And they're still together, and it's been a couple months now. She says she's not yet ready to date, which I totally understand. Jackie meets up with a girl named Kasia, who's another girl that Marshall dated after the experiment. And they both talk about how they've blocked him on social media. Kasia says that she blocked Marshall because he kept on apologizing to her and she found it annoying. And she also says that Marshall minimized their relationship to one date where she thinks that it was more. And so when she explains like how their relationship went down, in her like perspective, she reached out to him after all that happened with Jackie and was like, oh my God, like if you ever need like a shoulder to cry on or whatever, here I am. Like I want to support you as someone who cares about you. And then he escalated it to a romantic situation, and they went out on a date. And then she said that they kept on talking, and he claimed that like he would have been married to her if like he had chosen her or whatever. But like she didn't explain how it was more than one date, because at the end of the day, it's true, it was just one date. And so Marshall was technically telling the truth, right? Anyway, Amber, remember the girl that was like dumped by Paul when Irina and Micah were laughing about it and whatnot? She's been dating someone new since things with Paul didn't work out. So I'm happy for her. She seems like a lovely girl. And it was next time to celebrate Chelsea's birthday at her family's home. And I loved how Kwame's sister and her husband were there to celebrate Chelsea as well. Like they're really taking this like family blending thing seriously. Kwame's mom still wasn't there, but maybe it's for camera purposes that she wasn't there, which I would understand. But the sister's putting in a lot of work, and so is her husband. And I think it's really sweet that they showed up in support. And then they brought the jollof rice that she and Chelsea had made together. Like it was beautiful. I really, really love what they've done with their relationship and the blending of their families and everything. I think this is the only couple that we saw like with their families like blending in all of the after the altar episodes for this season. So that was really special. It's not just them, it's the families as well. In some of the other couples, it's difficult because their family live in other states and whatnot, but that's what makes this all the more special. Then we see Jackie and Josh move into their new apartment, and then they all get ready to play flag football. And Zach was being really weird. I don't understand why he thought like somebody was going to be attacked. They needed to do 3-on-3 instead of 5-on-5, like just weirdness. And I was like, all right, dude, like, okay. I will say though, Brett and Kwame have some gorgeous bodies. My God, dude, those men work hard on their physique, and it freaking shows. Like they are in tip-top incredible shape. Like they are truly a sight to behold, like their bodies. And absolutely stunning. And Brett, of course, is very, very handsome as well. He's a little bit of a cutie pie. So now let's get into Micah and Chelsea, okay? In episode 3 now, they make up, and it just happened so quickly, and it was really sweet. Like Micah just said, Chelsea, thank you so much for handling this entire situation with like calm and with grace. And Chelsea was like, I bet. And then they hug, and that was it basically. Like there was so much like, I wanted more juice. I wanted to see her pull an extension out or something. And then we watched the actual flag football game, and oh my God, did it ever go on forever? I was like, okay, do I really need to watch the whole thing? I don't really care for football like that, But finally, at the end of it, they go to like the party, the mixer and everything. And Marshall pulls Jackie aside to talk and apologizes for pressuring her into a relationship that she didn't want and refusing to let go of their relationship. Jackie accepts his apology and then offers her own apology for like the way she acted in that relationship. And she tells him that he deserves happiness, and he tells her that she deserves happiness as well. And she's like, I don't know if you found anybody new, but I hope you find somebody that, to love and who loves you. And he's like, oh, I did find somebody. And so, she congratulates him, and they end that off with a really long and I think meaningful hug. So that was nice. But again, I'm like, where's the tea? Where's the juice? Like, this was so soon after the reunion, or no, this was filmed before the reunion. So before Jackie was online talking about Marshall and the texts were leaked, like I would have loved to see him ask questions about why were you saying those things about me, but we got none of that. Now another apology. It's just apologies upon apologies upon apologies, which is great, unless you're messy, which I am. So Irina, she pulls Amber aside to apologize for that thing she did where she was like hiding behind the bar, laughing as Amber was crying about Paul. And then she's such a liar. She's like, I didn't know you were crying. Girl, you could hear her sobbing. You could hear her crying. Her voice was breaking. She was taking pauses to breathe, which happens when you're crying super hard. If you're going to apologize, be genuine and honest about what you're apologizing for, please. Anyway, then we get Micah and Paul. He pulls her aside or she pulls him aside, can't remember. And then she confronts him about flirting with her while dating someone behind her back. And then he was like, oh, well, like you've done the same. I've felt myself in a similar like situation, feeling the same way. And he goes off on some kind of like philosophical tangent where I'm like, oh God, here comes Paul again. You know what I was thinking when he was talking? If a calculator could talk, it would sound like Paul. And I don't know what that means, but I know that it's the truth. And I know that it makes sense. I feel like this is going to hit you right in the, like, right in the, oh, it's true. And we can't explain why it's true, but it's true. You know what I mean? Like, And then anyway, he does admit to having feelings for Micah and asking himself like all these questions about what if. But like I said earlier, if you keep on breaking up within the span of like 1 year, it's just not meant to be. I think we're all old enough to know that at this point. We're not teenagers. We're not in our early 20s. We are grown ass people in our 30s. We know that it's not meant to be. So let's move on and stop causing ourselves any further heartache. Okay? And Micah did exactly that when she told him that she's not ready to be friends with him and that this is goodbye. Good for you. Close the door, close the chapter, and move on. Now, Jackie finds out that Josh's ex-fiancée, Monica, is about to pop up at the party and she's freaking out. She wants to go. So she talks to him about it, but he wants to stay. Okay, so they stay and we find out what went down. So it turns out that Monica is beefing with him and Jackie because she opened up about her broken engagement to Josh, which I felt was really ridiculous. Like everybody on this show does interviews because first of all, they're contractually obligated to in order to promote the show, right? And it's just normal. They want to get things off their chest, especially people who weren't really shown or featured on the season as well. So she had every right to do interviews just like Jackie did interviews, just like Marshall did interviews, just like Brett did interviews, just like Tiffany did interviews, just like Kwame did interviews, just like Chelsea, just like Zach, just like Bliss, just like Micah, just like Paul, just like everybody else. So I just don't get why she's mad and why he's mad, Jackie claims that Monica was being shady and whatnot, but like throwing shade at Josh, but Monica sent Jackie a copy of the article days before it went out. She let her know what she was doing. She really went above and beyond as a friend. So Jackie just sounded like, just didn't make any sense. Okay. And then she even said, oh, everybody deserves to tell their story. It's not that I'm mad at. Then what are you mad about? She told her story. She gave you an advance copy of her story because she wanted you to know that she wasn't going to say anything bad about you or about your man. So what are you mad at? I think Josh just told her to be mad and she doesn't even know why. She can't remember, and it's just like embarrassing for her, like you got to ride with your girls, she's like, I'm going to ride with my man regardless, you should value your female friendships a bit more than that. Like if your man is wrong, your man is wrong. And she's like, even if he's wrong, I'm going to ride with him. Well, that's how you find yourself friendless, girl. That is how you find your friend friendless because it's absolutely ridiculously unreasonable. So, again, I think Josh is the reason who caused this rift. Then Monica's like, you know what? Bring Josh over. I'm not going to talk to him one-on-one. We're going to all talk about this together because I've got nothing to hide. And then Josh comes and he explains that he's upset because she didn't delete the negative comments in like the Instagram post promoting the article. It's like, Josh, you acted like a fool. So of course people are going to be negative to you, just like they're negative to Jackie because you both acted like plum fools on the show. And you guys get so many negative comments on your own posts every time you post, and you don't delete them all because who has the time in the day to do that, right? So why are you mad at Monica for something that you guys can't even do on your own? Go to either one of their Instagram pages and you will see a bunch of negative comments because they've got better things to do all day than to spend their time deleting every single last one of them. Many people do not like them, and that's just the reality of the situation. That is not Monica's fault. And then he accuses Monica of clout chasing off of him. I'm like, what? Josh, you're not even all that relevant. Like, what are you talking about? You don't even have that much followers. Like, what? You guys were on the same show. She's telling her story just like you told your story. I don't understand. Like, that is so weird to me. Like, who are you? Who are you? What? And so at this point, Monica snaps and she's like, Jackie, I don't understand how you stay with him. Like, he's like a 6-year-old. Like, this is ridiculous. And then Jackie just doesn't say anything. She sits there, like a rock, and then she just leaves. And so the two of them ultimately decide to leave. I'm sorry, but Jackie's a crappy friend. Like, what? That was so stupid. Okay? Like, absolutely foolish. Like, he had no leg to stand on. You can't just defend someone because he is your lover. You got to, in private, tell him, listen, this is just, I don't agree with this, okay? Like, maybe in public, but in private, and they've had a year to speak about this and like come to some sort of conclusion to maintain her friendship because she claimed to love Monica so much. You don't just throw out a friend like that over some BS like this, okay? Just because it's your man, your man, your man. Josh is someone who seems like he's going to have conflicts with a lot of people in life. And so unless you want to have nobody in your life, like, you might want to rethink that stance, girl. Anyway, in the final scene of the episode, Chelsea and her dad go to watch Kwame play soccer, and it was really cute that he came to watch. Like, again, I'm loving seeing the actual families involved in these relationships, beautiful. Because, at the end of the day, marriage is about the blending of the families, right? And then I do have to say on a final note that all the couples seem so happy. I think this season of the show produced the strongest couples. Okay. I think that all of these are going to last another, good while. I think that Kwame and Tiffany are going to last forever. Hopefully, je touche le bois. I'm knocking on wood for that. I think that Bliss and Zach can last forever as well. I think that Kwame and Chelsea, by the way, the editing was like night and day, right? I think that they can last, a really good long while. I don't know if I would say forever for them, to be honest with you, but it's up there. It's a possibility, and I hope that it lasts forever. But again, I feel like a little bit of resentment in Kwame about the fact that Chelsea cannot travel like he wants. But if they get over that, I will give them forever too. Josh and Jackie, I think maybe when she realizes that he's wrong and he alienates her from her friends, she'll wake up and leave. But otherwise, they seem like, a better match than she was with Marshall. Marshall and his girl, I don't see that. I don't think he's genuine. And I told you why. It was because of what he said in the podcast, which is basically he wants to dump her and live his 15 minutes of fame single. So I don't see that as a thing. Who else was there? I think that's about it. Yeah. I think that's about it. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of what went down on Love is Blind Season 4's After the Altar special. As usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything, so please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.